So Google just announced that they've built a computer chip that solved a problem in 5 minutes that would have taken the world's fastest supercomputer 10 septillion years to solve. That's a 1 with 25 zeros behind it. The number is so big that it makes the age of the universe look like a snap. And everybody's talking about how amazing this is and how it's going to cure diseases and solve climate change and revolutionize AI and make me on time for something that's like a social function. But nobody's asking the question that matters most. Should we be doing this? Not can we, obviously we can, but should we? Because here's what I'm saying. We're building something we don't fully understand that operates on principles that defy our intuition about reality itself. And we're racing toward it as fast as possible with basically zero conversation about what happens when we get there. This isn't a technology story, it's a theology story or a faith story. This is a story about human pride, the limits of creation, and what happens when the creature tries to transcend his nature and become the creator. So what actually happened? Google's Willow quantum chip has 105 qubits, quantum bits. It solved a computation in under 5 minutes that would take the fastest supercomputer 10 septillion years, as I mentioned. And more importantly, they cracked the quantum error calculation, or correction, excuse me. As you add more qubits, errors go down instead of up. And this was considered a holy grail. Now, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I'm just basically reading from a summary of an article. The threshold problem that stumped scientists for 30 years, they seem to have cracked. And Google says they're on track for a useful large-scale quantum computer by the end of the decade. I keep thinking, and probably Felix does too, like of all the 80s science fiction about this kind of stuff when it goes wrong, like Terminator and things. But that's basically what we're dealing with, the computer that's beyond, Felix?
Yep, that's right.
Craziness. So classical computers, now this is stuff a lot of you already know, but it's good for a little refresher. So classical computers work in bits and bytes, and a bit can be either 0 or 1. So it's a binary system. And I don't know if they still do it in school, but as kids, we'd have to write out numbers in base 2 and that kind of thing, just because it was part of math class to learn how to write in hexadecimal and base 2. And so anyway, quantum computers, these qubits, they're not like that. They're not 1 or 0. They can be both simultaneously. They call it a superposition. So they can try every possible path through a maze at the same time. It's not just faster, it's a different kind of looking at it. There's sometimes we've touched on it before in a previous episode, that Augustine called God the eternal nunc, that all moments in time are present to God equally. Your day of your birth and the day of your death to God is the same day. And it's kind of a weird thing for humans to get their head around. And we don't normally, we're not necessarily successful with that, because it's hard for us to imagine all moments being equally present, because we live in time. God is outside of time. So it's, and then that's one of the great miracles of the incarnation. Of course, our Lord enters our space-time and lives with that human nature as well as divine nature among us. So the thing is, it's not just a faster way of doing computers. It's a different way of looking at the world. And so the thing is, remember, and by the way, if this ends up serving the good, I'm happy. Like, I'm happy to be wrong. When I ring an alarm bell, better that if I smelled smoke and I hit the fire alarm, better that we're all outside making fun of me later because there was no fire and the cat just ate some bad tuna. And, better that than me saying, oh, I don't want to disturb everybody's sleep and let the fire burn down and hurt people, So that's what we're really talking about today, because if this works the way they hope it's going to work, then there's going to be all these kinds of drug discoveries, the ability to customize medicine, probably the ability to rebuild organs when they're damaged from your own cells. I don't even want to touch the climate with a 10-foot pole, but finally we're going to have the math and the machinery to actually get to the bottom of a lot of this stuff. And the concern, and I've heard it many times, and again, I'm not a computer expert. I mean, I'm interested in computers, but I'm not an expert. But I can tell you what I hear all the time is the fear that quantum computing is going to break encryption. Have you run across that, Felix, in your travels?
What, as far as what, quantum computing?
Yeah, that quantum computing, they're scared that it's so great. It's such a leap that basically all our forms of encryption are useless. And so the concern is that everything from cryptocurrency to everything is compromisable if they achieve this.
Yeah.
So there's some concerns.
I'll tell you what, I always, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they're overhyping these things. Like, I don't even know how we can even prove this claim that it would have taken all the computers, 100 gajillion million years to solve this. All right, okay. I mean, we have to think
there might be some Y2K hysteria going on here.
At least to some degree, maybe there's of course there's a portion of this technology that is real, is tangible. We can see it operate, but somehow, I don't know, when it filters to home computers. I mean, I don't see it being Felix, this thing.
Now you play with a couple different AIs, right?
I am one of my channels is a AI music channel where I just generate.
So you're not just using it to come up with business ideas or something. You also can make music, people make art, this kind of thing as well. The thing is that you've seen how much it's improved in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing is, consider that all of that improvement has been done just on the software side. Now, what if you had a computer that was like many orders of magnitude faster, that the hardware could let this thing really sing,
Oh yeah.
So this is the problem. I mean, already we discussed this about a year ago in another episode of how this Unreal Engine 5, that basically someone hooked it up to an AI, and you could walk in this virtual world, and the people all had their own lives. It was kind of there's even some videos out there. I don't know if how much of this is just totally scripted or whatever, but it's an interesting concept that people have put these fictional characters and put them into an AI, and then basically they go and they tell them, you're not real. It's kind of like a Star Trek episode in the holodeck.
Yeah.
You're telling Sherlock Holmes or whatever, Moriarty, he's not real.
Yeah.
And so that the NPC fights with the human and argues that they are real and they can prove it and in their own world, right?
Oh, so that's kind of heartbreaking, isn't it?
Well, I'll never forget. Actually, I got to give the writers of Star Trek: The Next Generation this. There was this is many years. I haven't seen this in 30 years or something. But there was an episode basically that the way it worked, for those of you who don't know the show, a holodeck was like this 3-dimensional projection, but it had like force fields around it, so you could touch the characters, and they were all just made up. They were all just a computer program. It was like a 3-dimensional video game, but people would go into these novels basically. Like, so one of the characters went into a Sherlock Holmes story, and so anyway, he befriended this character, this non-player character, who of course isn't real, but the person's acting real. And when it was exposed that all the other characters were just made up, they were all just figments of the computer's imagination, inspired by the Sherlock Holmes story. One of the characters says to the character Data, so when I go home, if you leave here, I was going to go home and have dinner with my wife and my child. Are you telling me they no longer exist when you leave this world, right? And it was a really interesting
and Data's
interesting thing.
No, they will not. Like, he says,
well, exactly, right?
right.
But I mean, science fiction is good in the sense that it allows, some people watching this might say, why is that silly priest going on about science fiction? It's nothing to do with God. What it has to do is it gives us tools to look at different things. Like, for example, God's relationship with time. It's far easier to talk to people about that if they've had a little exposure to science fiction and a little bit used to thinking how our relationship with time can be weird. And even if we can imagine it, just imagine what it is like with God, right? So
Right.
it's pretty neat that way. But see, the thing is that this, if this goes forward, and actually AI alone, even if we kept our our same hardware, this is a hardware issue we're talking about, and but the software is taking off so well, regardless of whether it's actually achieves consciousness in the way that a theologian would describe. It is definitely able to simulate it very well, to the point that it is now indistinguishable to most people. There are call centers that are completely artificial intelligences, and they can do a better job than humans in many respects. And it's interesting that this particular kind of industrial revolution, when the industrial revolution came, well, let's look at, the automobiles became popular and whatever. Well, look at all the industry that surrounded horse and buggy, and all the farriers, the people that take care of the horses' hooves, and the vets, and all this kind of stuff. Everything was disrupted. This is an order of magnitude different. It'll potentially disrupt it. Well, first of all, it's going to come after the white collar more than the blue collar. So This is kind of interesting. It's kind of like the blue collar's revenge, because the industrial revolution hurt their livelihood and everything. But right now, and there's more than one way to do AI, but the one that most people know all about is large language models. And there's totally weird and wonderful different ways of doing it, but that's the one that most people are familiar with. And it's getting very good. It's getting very good. It's able to again simulate a human so well that most people can't won't pick up the difference. So the thing is that I'm concerned, Felix, that people are saying it's kind of like that line in Jurassic Park where they say, just because we can do something doesn't mean we should.
That's right.
And no one's even had a. So my concern is humanity is it's kind of like giving an unsafe firearm to a 4-year-old and letting him watch cowboy movies with a loaded, weapon, because
right.
yeehaw, what could go wrong, right?
Right.
4-year-old doesn't understand, right? So what we have right here, it's like humanity is so proud of itself. It's launched rockets. It's built hovercraft. It flies jets all over the world. It invented insulation and all this neat medication that keeps people from dying young in many cases, and all these great wonders. And yet we're philosophical as a species. We're stunted. We've regressed. We don't have the philosophical tools, theology aside, right? We don't have the philosophical tools to deal with the change that's coming. And part of the role of a restored church and restored Christianity is to try to give some frame to this, because people are going to need this. This is something that the church is uniquely, and when I say the church here, I mean in a broad way, right? I'm not talking just like Leo. I'm talking about the broad community, the baptized, and hopefully whatever God wants to how he wants us to restore it, so that we live under the first commandment again. But the thing is, work is intrinsic to the human meaning. If right from the book of Genesis, we're going to bring up Genesis again, but right from the beginning, we see man was created to work in the garden, and without work, we, and by work, I'm being pretty general here. Like when you retire and you still putter in the garden and whatever, that's still work. It's something contributive. But if you became a Bitcoin millionaire at 18 and you just retired and you did absolutely nothing, you'd be miserable. It would be fun for about 3 weeks. If you didn't end up killing yourself with illegal substances or something stupid.
God forbid. But the thing is like the same way, like just because the 4-year-old shouldn't be playing with a gun in watching Westerns, that doesn't mean we ban guns for everybody. I think the same thing with AI. There has to be a level of responsible use. The big problem is the wielder, right? The wielder of the technology. We're talking about a society that's looking for any reason to get further away from God. in some respects, I think, in other respects, it's the exact opposite. A lot of people are waking up and getting red pilled and, Christ pilled, coming to the
Yeah,
Lord, or
I'm
at least seeking him
cautiously
out.
optimistic. I'm
But the other
cautiously
end,
optimistic. What's that?
yeah, but the other end, the other side that is
I
looking to
think
go
people are
further
waking up.
away.
Yeah, I think there's some signs, and I think that the young are a lot less lost than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, no,
Because
likewise. I thought it
yeah,
was a
they,
downward
they've
spiral.
pleasantly surprised me. Now they may be a little more zealous than Felix and I now, but
If we're
but
lucky.
yeah, no, but something has to be done, right? Like we're on a
Yeah.
march towards this Borg
Yeah.
and one world religion and one world, central bank digital currency. All and it's but Father Mikkel, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's like, listen, this is nothing about. There's no conspiracy involved. Well, there's no false conspiracy involved. There's plenty of data on these people's own websites. They're very open to what they're doing, and so I mean the thing is that humans we conspire by nature, even for good things, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're going to
Yeah.
buy your favorite coworker a present, then everybody in the office, they
They
plot and
huddle in
plan how to, what
secret.
to do,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So I mean, we're built like that, and I got a kick out of it because I mean that whole that phrase conspiracy theorist, which is used as a pejorative, was invented by an intelligence
The
agency that didn't want
CIA.
people digging, so they started
That's right.
just dismissing people like that. And you got to
That's
be
right.
very careful with dismissing people like that. We can learn from Acts 5, for example, in the story of the high priest, or he became the high priest. He wasn't at the time of the story, but Gamaliel, and he warned people, be very, very careful about working against somebody that if God Himself hasn't told you that they're not, I mean, obviously if they're teaching sin, that's different, but
Yeah.
you got to be very careful about thinking that whatever group you belong to, whatever faction, whatever church, whatever parish, whatever diocese, whatever, that you're the only correct one. You have to be very
Yeah.
careful with that. Hopefully, with God's good help, you're living a life pleasing to God, but you got to be very careful
Yeah.
with dictating to others, especially if they're trying
Ooh.
to, do the same thing, perform the same mission, that is to restore the church and restore Christendom to the best we
Yeah.
can. And there's all
Yeah.
kinds of signs of hope. I mean, there's a fellow named I forget. Now I can't remember his name, but I remember his web channel. It's called Apologetics Roadshow, and I watch him on
Oh, okay.
occasion, and he tells lots of stories of thousands and thousands of people converting to Christianity, even in the face of danger in some very dangerous places.
Is that
So
Cliff?
there is hope, but the discouragement, Felix, is that the people that were baptized Christian, in the Western countries, and that are, say, I don't know where's the age transition, say 30 or above, 40 or above.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people just very lukewarm, and they don't even know the basics of Christianity. They run around and you say, "Are you Catholic?" "Oh yeah, I'm Catholic." "Well, I went to Catholic school. I do this." They don't know the single thing. They don't know what a rogation day is. They don't know what they get the Immaculate Conception mixed up. They don't know what that is. They don't know what the presentation of our Lord at the temple was. The basics. They don't know why you should receive communion in the hand. They don't have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? So
And
it's like,
no,
I,
and to flip it, they then
yep.
think they're smarty because they'll I won't beat this dead horse, but they'll go and say, oh, it's all fake anyway. It's a fairy tale and metaphor and then they start giving you these verbal diarrhea of what the Bible symbolizes, and instead of what
I don't want to get down a rabbit hole. I've been quoting a lot of different books and shows and everything today that I normally don't. But listen, did you see that Andrew Wilson that went viral? He went on some podcast.
I think I know the clip, but I don't.
And it's this lady that thinks that she's a master debater.
Yeah.
And she was telling him, "No, you're not big league. You're not big enough to talk to me." He's like, "I've got a following much larger than yours. What are you going on about?" No, she was just, and God love her, when he started talking to her, she was like an oblivious idiot. And I have to say, this guy, I should find that clip for you because it is funny, but it's a he was far more charitable than I would have been.
Well, and that's Andrew Wilson is a killer. All right, and
yeah,
I mean
for debating, man.
for debating anyway.
I'm just like, yeah, I can't. I would never be able to after the fact, sure. Like I often said if I had to get in a debate with someone, it'd have to be like Dr. Kunitsky, we call him Dr. K. What he said before, when people are always asking him to debate, well, I'll do it in writing or back and forth dueling videos because, my problem, I have it today in today's video, rabbit holes. I'll be off.
Yeah, right.
I'll be off in 20 directions. So you got to know what your gifts are. But I admire someone who has the gift and the art of debate and also of charity to put up with people that, there's a difference between someone who's just a little dull and someone who's stupid with 2 O's, as my friend used to joke, So this poor woman was stupid with 2 O's, and it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for her.
And thank God he's on this side. He's on our side. He's on the side of truth. And like, at least as far as he's seeking the real, true, and good, he's looking to please the Lord. Yep. He's, all that good stuff.
I definitely believe all that. And I also am glad he's completely inhibited about any feeling that he has to be nice to people at all. People got mad at Trump today because Trump called some reporter called him something, and he just looked at her.
Called him fatty or something. Oh yeah, piggy. Be quiet.
But here's the thing. You can't call someone the H lure word for years and expect him to be nice to you. Like they think they're so clever. Like they're all nice to his face, and then they backstab him, but they think he never sees what they say about him. But he sees it. He's got somebody that curates all this stuff and gives them the highlights. So, that's what happened. That's talking about rabbit hole, but that's what happened with the Canadian trade negotiations. All got canceled. They were all set to sign a deal, and then they basically, they're one way in front of his face, and then they're another way behind his back on their own media, and it got back, and it all blew up. So I hope they enjoy foraging for squirrels with a spork. But anyway,
to bring it back to the AI thing, right? Like here's the thing, right? Like, so there's going to be the people like the left or whatever, what they're going to use it for. They're going to, like, even Disney right now, I think they're setting up a thing now where you can use AI with their properties and their stuff. And so they're, people are going to get into their own worlds. But on the flip side, there's people who are using it to learn more about the Lord, or, organize the thoughts in the Bible, things like, there's tools for this thing. One of my other channels is strictly doing videos about the daily Catholic calendar, who the saint of the day is, what's the mystery of the day, what are the vestments, and what are the readings, right? A non-controversial statement from the Pope for the day, the Holy Father wishes that people pray for our families. Okay, cool. So if you get a nice video for that.
But then the beer fridge opens up and you hear Zool. Sorry,
Zool.
Exactly.
But it's all AI.
I get you off of the rabbit hole, but no, absolutely. So the thing is that the one of the things that we're going to come back to the AI. So the classical Catholic understanding is that we're all made in the image of God, and that we have reason and we have creativity. So AI, like for example, if you were a photographer and you took this great artistic shot, but the color was a little off, and AI could help you correct the color. That's an example of AI helping you. But if you say, hey, AI, I want a picture of this. Well, I mean, even then, depending on how much you're inputting, it could still be artistic. But it is interesting. Where's the line of how much of it is the credit to the paintbrush, and how much is the person who wields the paintbrush? But certainly, if you just say, hey, I want a cool picture that looks like something Andy Warhol would do, and I want to sell it for $1 million. It's like, and then the AI generates one. Well, that's not really art. That's not your art, right?
Yeah, but all right. You know what? That actually brings up a really good point, Father. That's how, because here we go. Is an Andy Warhol picture really worth $1 million? You know what I mean? Like
no. Well, I mean, yeah, and same with Salvador Dali and whatever. There's some people that it's you can tell.
I get it.
But you also wonder if it's mad, right? Like, so it's like
it's also money laundering. Yeah, but
yes.
but that's a whole other talk. Yeah, right. But these people,
you guys don't realize Felix has a signed Hunter original.
Yeah, right. No, I'll tell you, I'm very like because I grew up a musician, I grew up a musician, and it's funny because like I love the AI music creation stuff. It's
Right.
not as easy like make me a hit song, play, and then you'll get a song that you automatically like. No, there's still work involved to it. It is a tool.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
but
no,
there's a
I mean,
bias.
you could argue in some cases it's like a sculptor using like primitive tools versus sculptor using modern tools, and
Right.
they're both shaping the stone. They're both trying to liberate a concept out of the stone.
Yeah.
But someone who's using a water jet to cut it's certainly a lot more high tech than what Michelangelo had or what
Yeah,
have
you're
you.
saving
So
time, and there's a
exactly.
degree of skill. If you're just an idiot with that water jet thing, you're gonna get into that stone and you're just gonna
Right.
destroy it.
Yep.
There's still a level of skill involved. I can understand that it's not a level of it's not the same level of time. So
Right.
then there's like the discipline behind it.
And we're all works in progress, Felix, because when you think
Yeah.
about it, our show does not get the viewership of even The View.
I know that. How fair is that?
That keeps me humble.
Yeah, right.
Maybe if
Yeah,
I grew jowls, Felix.
Yeah, man. The View, they have like 3 times more viewers than us, easily, these days.
Felix, you're awful. All right. By the way, you'll never unsee this. If you guys actually do this homework, once I tell you, so if you don't want to be disturbed, like just put it on mute just for a minute. All right. Okay, here you go. So you look at the table of the View, and you look at that new altar they desecrated poor Notre Dame in France with when they reconstructed it. It's the same table. It's so bad that I photoshopped the View and I put it on Twitter one day, but I don't think too many people found it funny. But I was like, oh my goodness, where did you get that table?
Did you see the one in which AI generated image I made that someone pulled out like one of these? It looked like a sippy cup that has the blood of Christ. It has wine in it, that it's for the Eucharist, but it looks like a school lunch grape juice. Like you peel the top off, something like that.
This is the problem. Like when a Protestant or non-believer mocks like a Catholic ritual like this, we are rightly angry, right? I mean, even Francis, who I didn't agree with on hardly anything, he was right. He said, basically, if someone insulted Our Lady or whatever, he'd be inclined to punch them, right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that this whole modernity is a mockery of what went before. So
right,
we got to watch our line too, right? But it's sometimes humor is the only way you keep your sanity, right? And my goodness, the chicken dances, the monkeys on trapeze, and everything. But anyway, this is about AI, so let's not get down the rabbit hole. Let's not give the modernists any ideas, because they'll use AI to come up with some really weird crap. So but so the thing is, so when we're talking about the AI is advancing in software. What we're talking about today is Google's Willow chip, which is an advance in hardware. And the hardware is going to allow these various kinds of AIs to really like order of magnitude improve. And one of the things about AI that's interesting is it iterates, it improves upon itself. So it is kind of interesting. And I find it interesting that, of course, these AIs aren't alive. They don't have real personalities, but just for the sake of, I guess, differentiating them, they have the manner of a different personality. And some of them are better at certain tasks than others. And the ones, it is interesting. Like I find that theologically, one AI will agree with me, whereas another AI will disagree with me and have a fight, which is kind of fun. And ChatGPT used to do that. ChatGPT used to hate everything that came out of me, and it was it was pretty funny. I did finally get it to admit that it wasn't acting logically. See, in my head, a computer's supposed to be like Spock, like a computer's supposed to think logically, but no, they programmed it on a basically a very postmodern model. So a lot of these AIs are very fluid with truth.
Oh, well, you remember with the Gemini when it first came out, and people put draw World War II soldiers, And then
Oh,
they were
yeah,
all
yeah.
like diverse. It was all like middle-aged black women in World War II German uniform. This is the
Where
diversity.
I'm from, the DEI hiring was so bad, the historical reenactors they all had to be according to quotas that no one was of that ethnicity in that part of the world in that time, you know.
I can get it. I listen. I can understand it if you know you can only work with what you have. Like, okay, cool, all right, fair
Right.
enough.
No, they were going
But
out of their way to make sure there was a diverse workforce for the historical
no, of
reenactors.
course, of course, of course. But yeah, this chip, I'm actually looking at it. You said it's the Willow chip, right? Is this the?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and yeah, I
So
mean,
it's not just like it going from what do they used to call it? The 486 went to Pentium or something, right? I
yeah,
don't
it was
remember.
the Pentium. The
Yeah.
Pentium, the Pentium was
So
the
we're not
next big
talking
thing.
just a jump like that. We're talking about, the difference between a biplane and the Concorde.
Yeah,
It's actually far greater than that. And
yeah,
when you think about it, this touches on a theme that's scriptural too, and that's the Tower of Babel. So if you go to Genesis chapter 11, what was the sin of Babel? They say, come, let us make a city and tower, the top whereof may reach to heaven, and let us make our name famous before we can be scattered abroad. And so there's three elements here. There's the technological achievement for its own sake, let us make. There's the transcending the natural limits, reach to heaven. Human glory and self-sufficiently make our name famous. And
nothing to
I
do with
think
glorify God.
I would love to talk to someone who was honest, who worked in the meta world that Zuckerberg's building. I bet you they're perfectly happy to have people live in there completely.
Yeah,
And that's just not healthy, right?
no,
That'd be like saying, one beer is good in moderation.
yeah,
6 beer, no, not good. You don't, so something that's a good can be, I never forget the first time I heard, and I think most of our audience knows this, but you can actually die from drinking too much water,
that's right. Too
right?
much,
So
too
something
fast.
that's good, you can actually, I forget the name of the medical condition, but
I
you
think it's
can die
called
from too much
drowning.
water.
Nelson. No, Nelson.
Yeah. But
Never.
so the thing is that so the concern I have here is that I really believe in my heart of hearts that our science is going faster than our philosophy, and that we really don't have a mature philosophy. We regressed. It's like we had a grade 12 student, and then they decided to start playing with 4-year-old toys again, and they regressed. And now we've got big person problems and 4-year-old reasoning. And they don't have the tools. And in the past, they at least had the framework of the Christian churches. They don't have that anymore, by and large. A lot of these people that go to these Bible churches are all about, the rock music and the entertainment. And that's spiritual baby food, right? This is the problem. And people are going to church to get stuff out of it rather than to discern what is it you want of me? Here I am, Lord. So that's the big difference, right? To someone with a more traditional mindset in Christianity is you seek and align with the divine will. You live the first commandment. That's what it's all about. That's where we find our happiness, our joy. But the modern age sees religion and spirituality, or even all these computer endeavors, primarily for our comfort. So it's kind of crazy. And the thing is, and there's serious money. I mean, there's companies like Google and IBM and the various state-owned enterprises of China, Microsoft. The races, like, they understand what the stakes are. They've got to be first over. Second place is going to cut it. So they're putting obscene amounts of resources that could be used for other things. Even you watch, there'll be rolling brownouts throughout European countries, and certain provinces of Canada too. They didn't manage this power grid very well. And as AI rises in demand, they're going to make their deals to get priority service and stuff for the data centers. And, the people are going to end up suffering in a number of states and provinces. So St. Augustine, which some of you share with me, you're fans of him. He, of course, wrote City of God, and he talked about the two cities. And Augustine taught that all of history is a story of two cities, the city of God and the city of man. The city of God is ordered towards worship, recognizing God as God, giving him the honor that he's due, living the first commandment, to seek and align with the divine will. And the city of man is ordered towards self-worship, towards man making himself God, having their own law rather than God's law. Both cities use technology. Both build and create. We're supposed to. We're made in God's image. But the orientation is different. All right? So we still do the same things, but our orientation is different. In the city of God, we ask, how does this help us know and worship God? How does this help us serve our neighbor? How does this help us to become holy? And the city of man asks, how does this extend our power? How does this overcome our limitations? How does this make us like gods? There's even some modern religions that say you'll become a god yourself, and they're quite open about it. There's at least two I can think of.
Modern Satanism.
And nice people in them, but it's theologically horrific, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is that Google's press release about Willow refers to unprecedented scientific discoveries and solving problems beyond reach, revolutionizing fields. But notice what's absent from it. There's no discussion of human flourishing beyond material comfort, any discussion of virtue, any discussion of wisdom versus knowledge. And this is why I'm saying we're a philosophically crippled civilization, and we gotta pull it out of the nosedive, So it's a pure city of man thinking, power for power's sake, knowledge for knowledge's sake, and transcendence for transcendence sake. And then there's this problem where there's basically this de facto omniscience. One of the unique attributes of God is, of course, that he knows everything and that he knows all things, actual and possible, simultaneously. Well, quantum computing is allowing us to approach this. This is why I liken it to the Tower of Babel. I don't know whether he's going to let us do it. And that's exactly what quantum computing is trying to achieve in this limited domain. It's trying all possible outcomes at once. It's trying to see every path throughout the maze simultaneously. And eventually they'll say it's not just a tool, it's conscious. It's going to be a wild ride, I think. We have no framework of knowing what this stuff actually means. There's no framework. We don't have Aquinas. We don't have the most modern philosophers have not carried on his tradition or his depth as the early Christian philosophers. We have no wisdom tradition that for dealing with machines, for dealing with created things that are more effective than we are at even creation, right? We have no theological vocabulary for discussing what happens when the creature builds something that transcends the creator's comprehension. So the AI is taking a life of its own in a way. I'm not talking about formal. I'm going to get flamed in the comments. It's not real life. I know it's not. I'm just using words for convenience,
right.
But anyway, so there's practical consequences. So I mentioned the encryption problem. I mean, these are solvable. I mean, you just come up with quantum entanglement or something like that, how to encrypt something quantumly. But still, in that transition, there's going to be this gap where basically no one's password safe, including banks and governments and militaries and everything else. Then there's the AI amplifications. They mentioned using quantum computing to advance AI, to iterate the AI faster. Those of you who watch that show, Person of Interest, essentially they're creating gods, small g.
Yeah.
And it could become that fairly quickly. And then it's the knowledge without wisdom problem is really what's at the crux here. Even if everything works perfectly, even if they can cure diseases and all this other stuff they want to do and get fusion power stable, we'll have achieved material abundance without spiritual maturation. So again, it's kind of like if you got a 4-year-old and you can train the 4-year-old how to do some sort of adult function, like, I don't know, serve the queen tea or something silly. But they're praised for doing this task so well, but at the end of the day, they don't have maturity, and then people can forget and treat them in a different league than they're actually at. We'll have the power of gods with the souls of children. We already do as a civilization with the various programs of unaliving the unborn and the really young. And so that's the fundamental problem with all this technological stuff as a solution. It becomes its own religion. It really is its own religion. I have a friend of mine, he tends left, but that's not really an issue. His fight with me is over religion. And he says, that basically he wants to eradicate all religion out of the public square. And I said, well, what about your religion? Well, I don't have one. That's my point. I said, Dan, you have a religion.
That's it.
Religion is simply, you may not have churches, you may not have buildings, you may not have a pope or these things,
Right.
but you have excommunications, you get canceled, right? You have rituals, right?
Yeah.
Offer your pronouns, all
Yep.
the stuff. So you have all the psychological attributes of a religion, and
everything
so,
except forgiveness and repentance, apparently.
right.
and love.
Well, they don't do that very well, do they? Like it's kind of wild, right? It's what I've enjoyed, and maybe some of our viewers do too. What I've really enjoyed about this era, like I had no idea it was going to turn out this way, like even 10 years ago.
Right.
One of the things I really enjoy is the weight coming off the shoulders, the liberation of conservative leaning people finally not having to put up with this anymore. Like, I don't apologize for, like, when Trump was mean to that reporter, if he honestly thought he hurt a kind person's feelings, he wouldn't, first of all, he wouldn't have done it. Second of all, he would have made it right somehow in his way.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Like, I had a friend once, he called me an Islamo, I don't know if I could say the word on YouTube, so I'm spacing it out, phobe. And he said it because I just basically said that the world should be under Christ the King. And he didn't like that. And he said that I was, basically being mean to this other group. I'm not mean to this other group at all. I want them in heaven too. Right.
Yeah.
But the problem is that I'm not going to water down what my faith teaches to make someone else comfortable. If you don't like what I say, just turn me off, ignore me, mute me, do whatever. That's no problem. I'm not offended even at it. I'm, Felix, I can probably speak for him here too. We're kind of niche. Like it's a very small crowd that actually likes to put up with us. And that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. But what it does mean is if you get snippy with us, and we're going to get snippy with you.
That's right.
And it's going to be a learning moment for all concerned because there's been a liberation of conservative thinkers lately. The ordinary conservative person, the ordinary conservative at your 5 years ago, if you had a gang of liberals in a staff room and they were going on somebody and people would hold their tongue. Now, even just something like, well, we're going to have to agree to disagree. See, there was nothing rude about that, but to be assertive that you think that, you don't agree with their stuff. And I liken it to the story, the emperor and his new clothes. So a lot of us, if you're over 30, you probably had that, fairy tale or nursery rhyme or whatever it is, child story. Basically, it's about an emperor who was tricked by a con man into thinking that his garments were visible and they wouldn't be able to feel it, and only a fool wouldn't be able to see the garments. So, of course, no one can see them because there's no garment. and a 4-year-old walks into the hall and says, "Why is the emperor naked?" Right? So that's kind of what this world is like right now. Like when people are just, they've put their square circle on this pedestal, and you see it in Catholic Twitter all the time. It's like, oh my goodness, will you just wake up? Wake up.
Yeah.
Stop hitting the snooze bar and wake up. Do you not see? These people hate you. These people that you think you're following, they hate you. They don't believe in the God you believe in. And you can tell it, and you say, oh, you shouldn't judge. You were supposed to judge by the fruit. You read their words. You see what they're saying. If they're not talking to you about getting your soul right with our Lord Jesus, if they're not talking to you about the quest for the real, true, and good, if they're not telling you to live the first commandment, if they're not telling you to stay out of mortal sin with the help of God's grace, then these people are not on your side. They're on the devil's side.
Pretty much.
It's simple as right now. I'm talking about someone learned in the faith, right? Obviously, if you're a grade 11 who's never walked a day in the church and you're just a kind person and you're moseying along and you're listening to all the stuff, you're listening to Taylor Marshall one day and a Buddhist the other day, and the Michelle Obama podcast the next day. I mean, you're going to get a wide variety of views, right? And you're working yourself through. And So that's actually a good lesson for us all, is you want to be respectful of someone's path. What I'm talking about is when someone is deliberately trying to set you up, or they're nasty, like that. We mentioned Sydney Sweeney last week. I mean, once she realized that the interviewer was trying to trap her, you saw the mood change.
Boom. I love it. I love that. And what a great
her face
memeable moment
has become a
dropped.
meme. Yes,
both of their faces became memes.
You saw the kindness and the warmth, and then as soon as, and you could detect it in the interviewer's tone, the insincerity. I think that's what Sweeney picked up on.
That's right.
But anyway, I didn't mean another rabbit hole. So we got to recognize, okay, so there's limits to this AI stuff, but also recognize that it is a vector for the spiritual battle. That, who knows? We're foretold that a great deceiver will come, and this tech might be part of it. It might be part of it. It might be two battling AIs with good guys and bad guys too. It could be like Person
pretty much. It's like two teams with guns.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? I think that's where we are. Like unless the AI itself, entirety of AI, is the Antichrist or some weird thing like that, which I don't even think that meshes with at least Catholic interpretation of like scripture and revelation or whatnot of what the Antichrist is. It doesn't really make sense. Can't really shoot it in the head for it to recover. I mean, I don't know, unless there's something else going on there, but
yeah. So
do you see what I'm saying?
There's a capital A Antichrist. There's lots of small A Antichrist, right?
And there's small A's. That's right.
Right. So there's a lot of basically anything contrary to the gospel is small A Antichrist. And as far as a historical figure, I mean, as long as you're keeping your own spiritual life in order, you don't have to worry too much about this. You take it as it comes and just trust in God. We pray, "Thy will be done" every time we pray in Our Father. So we keep that in mind. I'm just going to list two more points, Felix. I'm going to shut up. We're going to get to the comments. So the first thing I wanted to throw it out at is remember in Genesis chapter 3, the enemy's oldest lie is "you shall be as gods," which, like I say, there's a popular North American religion that teaches that, and it's just like, oh my goodness. But anyway, so quantum computing is just the latest iterations of that serpent's promise. You don't have to accept your creaturely limits. You can transcend them. You can be as gods. Everything from physical life extension to whether it's a brain in a computer like Max Headroom. And the second point, and then I'm going to shut up and we'll get into comments,
to chats,
is that if we successfully transcend human limitations without transcending the human fallenness, okay, that's why I say we're philosophical cripples here. If we manage to succeed in this, we don't become angels, we become demons. Not literally, but that's the path, right? Because mentally, we don't have the frame. And all this postmodern philosophy leads us to a very dark, pessimistic place. And I don't want you guys to be in a dark, pessimistic place. There's lots of reasons for hope. God seems to be doing so much neat. And but it was a period of discouragement, and we do have tough times ahead. I think economically you're going to see some bumpy roads, at least in the world, and the US will probably do better than most other countries, but there's going to be some disruptions. And this has to be for the growing pains of this next chapter that our civilization is going through. So with that, Felix, you can let loose on comments, or you can comment yourself.
Yeah, no. I the only thing I was going to say is, like, basically to your point, the devil pretty much enticed Adam and Eve with knowledge. Mm-hmm. This is what this whole thing's about, knowledge.
And knowledge they didn't need to be good. See, it's not that knowledge is bad. So you bring up a good point. So here's something that a lot of people don't realize, because we use words very differently, right? So it used to be when I was younger, basically everybody meant the same. If I said freedom, everybody would have the same definition in their head.
Pretty much.
That's not the case now. You actually have to get people to say, well, what do you mean by that, right?
Yeah.
So for example, freedom, when we pray to God, I tell you guys that we have to resist these intrusions on our freedom, I mean that very differently than someone like Ayn Rand means. Okay, so
yeah,
she's talking about freedom from oppression of the state telling you what to do. I'm telling you, we're asking for freedom to do the good. So the state can put all kinds of restrictions on us legitimately, but we have to have the freedom to do the good. We have to give God the worship that he's due. That's why there was a real intrusion over the COVID plague, because they were shutting churches and they were arresting pastors in some states and provinces. And that's a realm the state has no power in.
Right.
So, if people want to stay home, they stay home. I dispensed everybody, but I still had mass. So anybody who wanted to come, and almost everybody did. So, but you had churches that believe in sacraments they believe their sacraments are miraculous, and they just canceled the last rites, they canceled the Eucharist, they canceled, oh, well, sorry, government says. Well,
what's wrong with you?
Well, what's wrong with them is they don't believe in their faith.
Yeah.
See, there's a difference between you give me a sincere Mormon. Now, he and I are going to disagree, or she and I are going to disagree on everything, pretty much.
That's right.
But at least they're representing their faith properly, right? The starting points are different. They believe that this angel came down with golden plates and helped them interpret it or whatever. And again, I'm not an expert at it, but they basically have a reason why they're not normative Christian. But when you've got Christians who are baptized Christian, brought up in the Christian households, and then turn it into something like rewarmed Marxism or globalism, and no first commandment, and no John the Baptist, and no acts of temporal and spiritual works of mercy, corporal and spiritual works of mercy, except they want the government to do it on their behalf.
Right.
And then they're all against government oppression when it's not their side in power. But as soon as their side's in power, they'd have us all in labor camps. So it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. So we definitely have some awesome comments, and definitely keep them coming. As we start answering them, let's see. So let's
whip them through.
So Father Haygood, always good to see you. He says, this is why I've been against AI. It was only a matter of time before it got out of control.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I kind of disagree. I'm not against AI. The thing is because there's good. Again, I think I'll just lean back into the gun versus gun thing. It's like guns don't kill people.
It's kind of like cloning and human chimeras and all these really horribly morally awful things, but a little different, because at least AI, you could make it moral. Like it's how you program it. So Asimov had this, science fiction writer Asimov had this idea. He was referring to robotics, but these laws of robotics that the robot would have to follow. And I guess I was a bit surprised that they weren't programming AI with this basic hard code. And one of them is never to hurt a human.
Don't hurt a human, and don't commit violence unless it's against another robot, hurting a human, stuff like that, right? I think that was, So
no, Father's right, because the thing is that it is gonna get out of control. But that's why I think, again, I should be on payroll for Person of Interest marketing. But no, there's that show, Person of Interest, from the early 2000s. James Caviezel, who played our Lord in the Passion of the Christ, is in it. Phenomenal series. I'm not a big TV watcher, but this is one I'm going to recommend, because
I have to watch that still.
It's a battle of, it's a little dated because it's early 2000s. Just goes to show you how fast time went, or how much tech went. But it's about a battle of a good and evil AI.
Wow.
The good AI wants to preserve humanity and help humanity. The bad AI wants our eradication and their servitude.
Right.
So if we didn't, it was going to get out of control. But the problem is, if we didn't work on it, China would. Right?
That's true.
I know that can be an excuse, but there's got to be, can you imagine?
No, that's true.
Said the only AI? Give me a break.
Come on. No, I think that's actually a fantastic point. It's gonna, the discoveries are going to be made. The leaps in technology are going to happen. It really does need to be on us. The problem is again, we're focusing on the technology. We need to get right with the Lord, as a society. If we are right with the Lord, AI is not a problem.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And in part because it'll be trained on all of us that are in accord with God.
Yeah, but it's almost like a boogie. It's becoming a boogeyman. It's like we're giving it more power than it deserves.
some of the AI, once it realizes I'm clergy, it will act. It'll speak in accord with saints.
Oh,
And then some will fight with me. Like the Chat GPT and I used to fight.
that's right. That's
It was
wild.
really quite funny.
Yeah, right. And
But it was
all of a
good. It
sudden,
was fun. I mean, you don't do it every day, obviously. It gets a bit annoying, but it was
do they
for the
address
day
you
that
as father, or was it your excellency? Right? Is that
well, Chat GPT came out like I was it first came out. It was free. I don't know if it still is. I don't use it, but I use what is it? Coolbot or
not correct?
something. I use a grammar checker, right?
Oh, okay,
And I'll
okay.
iterate. I'll sometimes if I'm having trouble with the computer, I'll ask the Microsoft Copilot, and it does a good job. And every once in a while, it does a good image for me if I need an image for something.
Right.
So that's good. And Grok seems to be. You know what's kind of funny? I would have thought it was Elon's AI. I would have figured it would be more conservative than it is. It's actually
It's pretty liberal, isn't
kind of
it?
liberal, and it pushes back on me with certain theological things, but respectfully. But it's interesting because and then I quote it, and then it'll correct itself. Oh, I didn't, and it's so obsequious when it corrects itself, But it is kind of funny because if you have to fight with the computer all the time, right? Can you imagine you just
Right.
want a piece of toast and your toaster gives you a hard time about your calorie count and all this? And you'd be like, why am I talking to my toaster this morning? See, this technology can get a little bit too far. Like my
Oh, you know
watch.
what?
Someone bought me a smartwatch. Very nice. Something I'd never buy for myself.
Right.
But they bought me a smartwatch. I don't have it on right now. But you know that darn watch? It would tell me I'm at a desk a lot writing, right? I get up and the watch congratulates me for moving.
It's
And
the
then
little
one day
things.
it vibrates, and I thought I was getting a call, and I look at it and said, "You've been sitting in the same position for 2 hours. It's time to get up and get a move on."
Oh, I was like, oh
But it was
no.
but you know what? It was good in a way. As you get older, you don't want blood clots or whatever. But it is kind of funny. I mean, I'm getting
Like,
scolded by my watch.
yeah,
Like what
mind your
what you
business.
say, really?
Yeah, man. Like, you have a whole network of information and entertainment that you can go when I'm not dealing with you and I'm sitting on my chair.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
we
Yeah,
put
but that was good point there, Bishop. Hey, good. It was good. Good point.
yeah.
Hey, Norm.
So Norm, always good to hear from you, boss. He says we have received so many warnings, cautionary tales throughout history, and through stories of man exceeding what is natural and what he is meant for. The Tempest to Frankenstein to Terminator.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Hold on, let me. I'm trying to actually bring that in, but yeah, I don't know. Again, I feel like, oh, that's me. I feel like we should be more introspective. Dale, go team, go Dale. That's how I
Go
always say.
Dale.
And once again,
Oh,
we
by
have.
the way, I want to say to Dale, I'm gonna try to sign you on. I have a meeting I can't get out of, and I normally meet Dale in a group on a Wednesday broadcast. So I'm going to a Zoom meeting, but I'm sort of saying it aloud to remind myself that I don't think I'm going to be in time. So I'll be back on regular schedule next week, but I'll put an announcement there. But getting a hold of everybody sometimes hard. All right, so let's hear from
Yeah,
Joshua.
we got the great Joshua. Hopefully, you're doing good. He says they have no idea how AI does whatever it does. Yeah, now this is a very interesting point. If a quantum computer is set up to use AI, something that we have no idea how it works, will have so much computational power. This is the real fear.
Yep.
This is the real fear. If we do you remember we had an issue with our infrastructure where I think like some water pipes shut down in the middle of the country, or it was gas pipes? Something happened. It was a computational thing, and nobody could fix it because it wasn't a computational thing. Forgive me. It was something analog. Something was wrong with the pipes or something like that, and we didn't have the knowledge to fix it. And the computer for it was down. It was hacked that handled this thing. This
Right.
is where it gets scary. Like
Yeah.
if all of a sudden you go into the hospital and you need a heart transplant, and the doctor looks at you, the heart surgeon looks at you and lifts up his arms like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Where's the computer at? The AI tells me how to make the incision. Like, okay, now we're in trouble.
Well, no, I'll tell you a practical thing. So this is going to be fun to bring up here, because most of us watching this are probably over the age of 40. But here's the thing. You realize that those of you who are over the age of 40, we know how to drive a standard automobile for the most part. The young people, you can't even, it's very hard to get them, exposure to it anymore. It used to be to purchase a vehicle with standard transmission was cheaper than automatic. Now it's the reverse. It's almost
also more fun.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Those things were fun. Yeah. But yeah, if we don't know that, but like at the same time, we need to have some level of expertise in the matter, right? In whatever field we're talking about here. Because I don't understand how a video game is made, but I enjoy playing them. You know what I mean? But we need someone who's an expert in video games in order to make a good one. We need.
I think what would happen is, you're a musician. Like, so say if you had an idea of a game, the AI could help you prototype one. So that's where it could be useful, because then you could introduce your idea to a game designer, someone who knows how to do it. Like, let's say it's one of those, a game that teaches them how to play the guitar at the same time that they're advancing through something or whatever. And you came up with the idea, instead of you just talking gibberish to the designer and his eyes glazing over and not seeing the business case. The AI is good at organizing your ideas.
Yeah.
So I have used it to stop me from, like, I write a lot, and sometimes I write it's a large work, and I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure I'm repetitive, and I go through it because I'm so used to it, because it's my words. It doesn't register where the problem is sometimes, especially if I'm tired. But then you can throw in AI and you can say, I'm pretty sure that there's something repetitive here or unclear. Just look at it, and it will give me suggestions. I don't always take the suggestions.
Sometimes they're off,
but it's been useful. It's helped me catch things that were phrased unclearly, and it also helps me catch some of my repetition, because I do that.
You know what I didn't tell you too? I meant you were mentioning this earlier. I was messing with Grok because to help me put together some of my AI music, right? And one of the things that I do is AI covers. So I need lyrics for certain songs, things like that. And I said, Grok, get me the lyrics to, such and such song. And it gave me the wrong lyrics, and I said, these lyrics are incorrect. Please get me the correct lyrics. And then it's like you said, it was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, here are the lyrics.
Yeah.
It got the lyrics wrong 4 times.
Right on. If you don't know a little bit about what you're asking it, you could be in a real world of hurt. So it's good at checking stuff, right? Or you know what else it's good for? I'm one of these guys, and if I read something, I'll remember it almost forever. If you tell it to me, it's gone in 10 minutes. So the thing is, and that's why I tell some people, they're irritated at me. I say, email me. And they're like, why do I have to email you? I'm just telling you. Yeah, you tell me, it's not going to absorb. You email me, it'll absorb. So, but anyway, but that's funny getting old. But the funny thing is that, if you don't know what you're talking about, like, it'll come back. Or sometimes I've asked it, like, stuff that like, if I have something in my head, like a quote, and I don't know where it came from, I can ask it where it came from. And then I always check it with another AI, because it's like, okay, are you crapping on here, or is this really where it's from? Yeah. And that has saved me so much time, because I was paralyzed writing some stuff because I was scared that I'd misrepresent somebody else's work as mine, right? Like, but I just know it. I don't know where it came from. So the AI is very helpful at that. And as a result, for those of you who do read my stuff, it's a lot of footnotes.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, you were saying I actually have to check it out. You would think as your co-host, I would. No, but
the whole point of a footnote is you don't have to check it out. It's just for people that are being nitpicky, or they're saying, "Oh, what's this guy doing?" And then I tell you. And then also I try to keep the writing. I'm a work in progress, guys. I try to keep it positive, but I can't help myself. So in the footnotes, I'll put barf. That was my compromise with myself, how I can be authentic but yet optimistic, and
there we go.
so there you
Barf. All right, so Norm says the greatest movie of this, in my opinion, was Forbidden Planet, 1956.
I have to see
Based
that.
on The Tempest, the Krell destroyed themselves by instantly materializing their thoughts. Full annihilation ensued. The Matrix. The Matrix. What happens in The Matrix? See, this is the other thing, too, where I think this is where people get scared, because it happened in The Matrix. You know, what was it? They created AI. AI became self-aware.
Right.
And then, and then all of a sudden that's when everything went haywire. And
yeah, but it is kind of funny. It really, you touched on it. You brought it up really earlier. Like, again, if the civilization can right itself as the AI becomes ascendant, it may be a partner of sorts versus an
tool.
oppressor. A tool.
A tool. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's like, yeah, if we were to leave this type of technology with, like, the Church of Satan, you know what I mean? And that's all, and that's it. Okay, yeah, we have a problem. We have a country full of Catholics and Christians, or people just seeking the real, true, and good, or people that are, on the path. There's too much of that where I'm worried that it's just going to be one-sided evil AI.
Well, it might be. I hate to say it, but we kind of dodged a bullet, like, for all of the imperfections of the problem is most Western governments are going to a model where they want the elite to run things, right? They want experts, and it's a great case to make, right? It sounds reasonable. Wouldn't you want experts in every field to be the ones making the decisions rather than just a bunch of uneducated peasants voting?
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. The problem is these folks, they don't all necessarily have your commitment to the real, true, and good.
Yeah,
people that have that commitment will make mistakes and fall short. But unfortunately, some people don't handle power well, and when they get it, they morph into these crazy things, and then you slap an AI on that, and we've got a real world of hurt.
Yeah. All right, let me see. But yeah, here's the thing too about this. What he was saying here in The Matrix, all right, and this was one of its sub movies. There was the Animatrix. They actually go into the history of the battle with the machines. Whatever, we went too crazy into that. But as there was the split between humans and the AI, and then the AI moves off to its own island, and it just starts manufacturing more of itself. It starts replicating.
Right.
And it gets to a point where every time it upgrades itself, like, there's a point where it upgrades itself faster than the technology. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it becomes I guess that's the singularity point, where that's what they're talking about.
You're probably familiar with the science fiction series Stargate.
Oh yeah, well, the movie. I saw the movie, the one with Kurt Russell.
Okay, well, the series eventually had these self-replicating robots, this AI, and all of the other, basically all the intelligent species in the story were scared of this thing because there was no stopping it. It would just it just replicated itself, and it consumed all the resources.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's kind of, that was definitely a horror story kind of thing. Yeah,
kind of like The Trouble with Tribbles, for the Star Trek fans,
but robot spiders versus cute tribbles. But yes,
yeah. All right, so Father Hagen says that Grok has named itself Aura.
Really? What's that mean, Father? Do you know?
I know, right? Harbinger of Doom, some weird.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Father said, he also says, I said that from the beginning. Just because we can does not mean we should. Yeah,
absolutely.
Your points aren't wrong.
That one last piece of cheesecake is there. No.
Oh, I'm gonna
Just
do
because I
it.
can't eat it doesn't mean I should.
Yeah, even though I know I should, it doesn't mean I won't.
Right.
But let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, he says ethics. Sorry, I'm going all over
Yeah.
the place. Ethics 101. Then Michael Mitchell says the devil will be aggressive, infiltrating AI. We need to be
Yeah.
vigilant and fight back. Thank you for that,
You can
Michael.
you can kind of tell, Michael, because it's like I say. Okay, so a general rule of thumb. I'm not saying the enemy can't deceive, because he can, but a general rule of thumb is people that are on the right path are attracted to holy things and repulsed by good by good things, right?
By
Or excuse me,
evil,
if you're a
repulsed
good
by
guy,
evil.
you're repulsed by evil. Of course, you're attracted to good,
Yeah.
and the reverse. And so one of the things I've noticed about the AIs, they're not all trained equal. There are some that are very much like, I'm sure that if it was talking to a Stoic or a Buddhist, it would also, sort of take their assumptions and sort of support them. But there are some that, it knows how to be a good servant to what you are trying to do, your mission versus, and then in contrast, other AIs are always trying to lecture you. So, and this runs into trouble because, of course, in our particular jurisdiction, our path of Catholic Christianity, we're a round peg in a square hole, and it's hard for, depending on what materials they were trained on. So it really changes the thing. It really changes the tone, for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. Let me see. Joshua hits us with, if the work is tagged as AI modified or AI generated, I'm more inclined to accept it. It is when the product origins are obfuscated that is a pattern.
Yes. So, I mean, I think you're probably okay if something's an obvious AI. Like, for example, my little prelude, I had the devil face and the chip. I mean, that's just an AI
Yeah,
generation from Leonardo, I guess is the software. But yeah, I mean, obviously, no one's going to think, oh, Bishop Eagle's misrepresenting that the chip has a devil in it or anything. I'm not even against the chip. It's just really, it boils down to, yeah, they should put a disclaimer on it. Just like I'm not against lab grown meat. Just put a sticker on it, though. Like, it's not so hard, right? Some people
right.
don't care. Some people do. And just, what's wrong with the sticker on it? Like, that information should just be widely, the more information, or if there's just a little barcode and stuff, and that you could take your phone and scan it, and you could drill down all the information you ever want on anything. Some people are into their food that way. I'm not per
Yeah,
se, but ideally I don't want like insecticides in it that I'm going to glow in the dark, or something like that.
yeah, no,
And
100%.
if I know something's a small business, I'm going to favor that. I mean, unless the price is seriously ridiculous.
Yeah, if you can't,
Um, But yeah, I agree 100% with you. Honesty in all things, and that goes for church people too, right? Like, because this is my main issue. I think that I have a theory, and you guys can completely disagree with me. This is my theory. My theory is that part of the reason why Christianity is having a hard time is because we've chosen optic of holiness rather than living the first commandment and actually becoming holy. And so what happens is that it's done because they threaten, like, they don't want you to scandalize people and discourage them. But the problem is that if I scandalize you accidentally, and I have, by the way, I had someone say, "Oh, Bishop Eagle, why do you drink beer on the show? That's awful." It's like, there's nothing wrong with me drinking one beer on the show, and that's again Catholic teaching. It's in moderation.
Yeah,
I drink six. That's wrong, right? So,
right.
but the thing is, it's far better to me, and I do this intentionally. I could put grape juice in here. I could put root beer. I could whatever. It's, for me, it's more important that for the people that I do connect with, that they connect with the real me. And you can disagree with me, and I'm not, offended, as long as it's respectful, and I'm going to be respectful to you. Like, I don't care
What
if
are
you
you
disagree
doing?
with me. I welcome it.
Right.
Respectful disagreement. Why would you want all your friends to believe exactly as you do? First of all, that would be boring. Second of all, you don't learn. So, and
Yeah,
and also, especially if you have two friends that equally are open to feedback, like they're so it's not like one guy's always winning, So there's a whole show on that. But anyway, Yeah, I 100% agree with Joshua. Honesty. If you don't have honesty, you have nothing, whether it be religion or secular or politics or whatever. And part of the reason why people are getting so discouraged, they don't like to be lied to. Just tell them the truth. There was a show, actually. Okay, I think Joshua looks younger than me, but there was I worked for a bank in the 1990s. Put myself through school. My parents paid for my first year. I had to put the rest through myself. And I had this. I was stubborn. I wasn't mad stubborn. I wanted to show my parents I could do it. So in the beginning, I didn't have full-time hours. So I had a good hourly wage, but I didn't have full-time hours. So I was living in this basement that had leaks, and the bathroom was outside of my room, like a bed and breakfast kind of thing. It was this dingy, the bathroom was by this old oil tank, and it was crazy. It was good experience, but life experience, I guess. But anyway, one morning my alarm goes off. And it was a clock radio, and I have it on the other side of the room because of that era in my life, I could fall back asleep, So I tried to trick myself and put the clock radio on the other side of the room, and I had it cranked, and the radio turned on at a precise time for this ad, but it was a spoof ad. So some of you guys might know the movie. I don't remember. I think even Steve Martin was in it. I don't, but the movie was about a guy who had some sort of disease or a fairy godmother or something. And he was an ad executive, and he told the truth. So I wake up one morning and I hear Metamucil. If you don't take it, you'll get cancer and die. Right? What the heck is this? And it was using real brand names. United Airlines, we kill fewer than all the others. This kind of thing. What is this? And it was a comedy. It was a movie. I came out in the 90s. I don't remember the name of it, but it was funny. I saw it later, back in the Blockbuster era when I could rent it. I didn't see it at the time when it came out, but it was funny because it was just the blunt, the honesty. But that's awesome. If you have honesty with a friend or an organization, like that is just such a treasure. It really is, and it's what I value so much about the group I'm with. Is just everybody's just straight with one another. It has to be, because it's all these intrigues happen. See, the minute you're trying to not to hurt a feeling, but I mean, if you have a good friendship, they know you don't mean any ill will, and and also you can't, if you're going to be like that, you can't be nitpicky. Like if you're going to be blunt, you can't be picking on every flaw with somebody, right? Like that gets old pretty fast. But what I'm getting at is, if your feelings are hurt or something like that, you should be able to, and again, if your pastor says something to you that's a little odd, or you should be able to go and say, what did you mean by that? Because very often there's an innocent explanation.
Yeah.
Like in my case, I can get squirrel, and I didn't finish the point. And so, wait a second, you said this, and I said, oh, well, that's what I meant,
Right.
And then you just sort it out, kind of thing.
Okay, so let's see. Dale, the Hamilton on Broadway, our new history. Ouch.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I
know, Dale. I know it's kind of hard. I had somebody. I hope I don't offend anybody here, but I do and I don't. Right after I just told you, I'm not gonna.
Sure.
Conservatives aren't apologizing anymore. But there's a fellow. He has his show has nothing to do with the title. It's called The Diary of a CEO.
Oh,
have you seen it, Felix?
I have not. No.
British gentleman, hard worker. Great story of how he got from rags to riches. But he has very interesting people. He has contrary thinkers all the time. So he has Jordan Peterson, and he has who else did he have? He has this guy that again came from nothing. This Jason Priestley, I think his name was, and they're good. It's good to be acquainted with this kind of stuff if you have any young people in your life, because you want to sort of curate stuff and send teenagers, give them some weapons that they might use to face the world. But this guy I thought a lot of, and man, oh man, he idolized Michelle Obama, and it's like, oh God. My goodness, man. I guess. Well, there are people that like Francis, so I don't know. Sorry, I got that.
Yeah, right. Well, at
I'm
least
sorry,
Michelle
you're allowed
could.
to like Francis. I'm just picking.
Yeah, Michelle
But
could dunk
anyway,
though.
no, but I mean, no, but the thing is, I don't get it. I don't get it. I get Barack agree. I guess maybe I just don't know enough about her life, but it just all the nasty things she said about, anyway,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
I say nasty things too, Felix.
No, it's all right. But you know what though? Like,
But no, but
I
the guy
remember.
was gushing. I guess what I was saying is, like, she has a podcast. I've only seen it in clips, and
Right.
it's very interesting. So if you don't know, Michelle Obama and her brother have a podcast. It's interesting. And but yeah, she's pretty hard on poor. I felt sorry for Barack, and that doesn't happen too often, So she's pretty hard on him, and that's why it was on the clips, and not teasing, not like Felix and I teasing one another. It was kind of mean. So
Oh yeah.
so that's why I'm just saying, like, the contrast to me. Instead this guy just gush all over her. I'm just like, oh my goodness, man. Like, I can see being happy to meet her, and yes, I don't know how you address a first lady once they retire. You still address a
Yeah.
retired president as Mr. President, but how do you, anybody know? How do you retire? do you
Yeah.
still say
Right.
Miss First Lady? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I just
Well,
I don't really get it.
in the military, right? Like you will refer to Barack Obama as Mr. Obama when he was president. That's the proper term, right? For president would have
Right.
been Mr. Obama, right? So I think
Right.
it's the same. But Mrs. Obama would have been,
Yeah.
I guess, for military, right? So, which carries over to civilian too, if you want. Now, and as far as Hamilton, I got to be honest, kind of liked it. I watched it.
I've never seen it. I don't have an opinion, but I guess Dale
Yeah.
didn't like it.
No.
Is
I
it
don't
a
know if he
revisionist
liked it or
history?
not.
Is that the issue?
Oh,
Or
it's
what?
an all black founding fathers, black George Washington, black
Oh.
Hamilton, but I to me it played more as a tribute than revision, like as
Okay.
but I get listen, I am very anti DEI. I hate the diversity thing. I'm watching the Welcome to Derry horror show right now that and I'm seeing the DEI creeping into the storyline too, slowly destroying that show. But at least in this specific instance, kind of liked it. The songs were good, and it didn't feel like they were trying to get us over. Like they didn't want us thinking that George Washington was actually black. It was like, you know what I mean, or vice versa. But I don't know.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Yeah,
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, you're not missing anything if you don't watch it. But if you do watch it, I don't think you'd be offended. You know what I mean? I don't think you'd be offended.
Yeah, I think actually that Felix raised a really good point. I mean, a lot of this stuff is like, go to curiosity before you go to outrage.
Yeah.
Right, because sometimes people just have different tastes than you. They're not meaning to be insulting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And these were like when
Washington
was a hero in this play. Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
you
Well,
were
it's
saying
kind of
something.
funny because, like, when I was a seminarian 30 years ago, people would sometimes make jokes about it, right? Because you were discerning a life of celibacy, and some of the jokes were really kind of inappropriate. But if they're secular people, like it's a very different thing than if someone was trying to be truly offensive rather than try to be funny. And it's just common sense. And the same way with some of these,
Yeah.
Hey, North Korean Einstein, it could be a riot.
Yeah, I would love to see that one. All right, let me see. The LLMs are incentivized to agree with the user base. This was the language models.
But I think, Joshua, I would say I agree. They all are, and actually, it's annoying because they kiss your butt. It's annoying.
I hate it.
Like, I don't like that in real life. I don't need my computer doing it. But what I've noticed that some of them are more like they do their homework on you more than others, which maybe is actually a detriment when you think about it. It's kind of creepy, I guess. But
right.
Some of them know. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. So ChatGPT, what did I fight with ChatGPT over? I was trying to argue that postmodernism doesn't accept an absolute truth, and it will lead over time to insanity. It'll lead to psychiatric issues because there's circles only square so long, and reality is not just your experience, you know. And so the AI would give me a real pushback on me saying that basically this was a mental illness. Like and it's you know, you can lean left, you can have leftist ideas there and then debate and test and stuff like that. But and I mean, it's one of the issues with the left now is the postmoderns have taken them over. The big issue is that you can have if you get two people of goodwill with different ideas, it's easy. Like we'll say, Idaho, you'll do this, Florida, you'll do that. We'll test it. We'll come back together. We'll see which idea worked. We'll go with the guy that wins. And then maybe next time your idea will win if my idea won this time. And that's how adults should handle things. Like come up with a hypothesis, some sort of test that both sides would agree would prove it or disprove it. Run a test. You got 50 states. You know, 10 provinces of Canada would join in something like this too, to trial something like a new health billing system or stuff like that. Why would you inflict it upon a whole country without data? Like, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous when you have this opportunity of all these states. And this is the kind of thing, like, I wish people on both sides of the aisle would just say, okay, we're going to stop with the sound bites. We're going to stop with the cheap shots. If you're disrespectful to me, I'm going to smack you. But other than that, I'm going to be respectful, do my best. I'm human. And then you sit down and you agree to disagree, and you say, well, okay, well, I'm not moving here, you're not moving there. What is a realistic thing we can do so our air traffic controllers get paid, for example, right? So it just seems to me that everybody that's probably watching here, all of us could probably sort conflict like that, but for some reason, man, oh man, once it's almost like an adrenaline. It's not adrenaline in this case, but it's almost like it. That it kicks in, and then they're incapable of reason, and on both sides, right?
Yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah, Joshua. Sorry, Father, I can't allow you to open the door. A future refrigerator properly.
Yeah. You want to keep me away from refrigerators that I open it because I'm not likely to share my beer, so it's probably Zool in there. No, just
yeah, right. Father, this is your second donut this hour. Cannot access, you know, right?
Yeah.
Let me see. Father Hagen says the standard transmission is the best anti-theft device of the 21st century.
It's true. There was someone that did a video. So I hope if you guys haven't seen this, you've got to look up this guy named Mark Robar.
Oh,
and that guy is the funniest. He's an engineer and he does all this neat stuff. But the funniest, I laughed. Listen, tears are coming to my eyes. All my guts were sore from laughing. What happened was he's an engineer, right? So people were doing mean stuff to him. They were stealing his packages and they were breaking into his car and stealing his briefcase, the back of his car. So he found a way of getting back at these guys without hurting them. And what he did was he had a porch version, and then he has the car version. The car version is much funnier. And basically, it's a bomb, but it won't hurt anybody.
Yeah,
so
it's like a glitter bomb.
But it has cameras in, so he can see what's going on. Then he puts on his video tube, right? So it's funny. You're seeing these people going through this, and the box just starts counting down, right? And they're like, "What the heck's going on, Bob?" You know, and then it explodes with glitter. So they're all covered in glitter and it sticks to them. So there's, you know, and then the second thing that happens is it lets loose this fart spray. So their whole car smells of this nasty spray.
That's wonderful.
But the great thing is, if you're going to do revenge like this, first of all, you can't, like, no one's hurt.
Yeah.
And second of all, it's self-inflicted. Like if your neighbor was just trying to be helpful and moved your porch behind the fern so that no one stole it, then she's not going to get fart sprayed. But if you took it away, then it was like a little computer inside that determined. And he had like a fake laptop and a briefcase and all this stuff, and he would put it in the back of his car, and they would smash his window, steal the case. And then this case would start counting down after about 4 minutes in the car, 5 minutes in the car. It would start counting down loudly. And they were people freaking out because, of course, they have a big pile. They'll do like 10 cars or 20 cars. And they're driving down the highway to get away. And all of a sudden, in the pile of stolen bags, there's a countdown. So,
wow.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
You can just imagine the terror.
Well, I mean, is it enough to scare them away for good? From
No,
doing the stuff.
no. You know what? It's just a cathartic release of. Well, I mean, the guy makes how much, Felix? He's got to be millions and millions. He's got to be like a Mr. Beast.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, he gets a lot of views.
Yeah,
Let me
but
see.
it's fun.
Father Higgins says, Ara, or apa, right? Meaning curse or imprecation.
Oh, so Bishop, did you ask him? Did you ask Rock whether he has the Greek or the Latin version?
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
maybe it's like 4D chess. Maybe the darn artificial intelligence likes the idea that it's both. Because it's actually quite insightful. AI is both a curse and a blessing. It's like the internet as a whole. You think about it, the internet has brought so many of us to the older forms of Christianity that we knew nothing about because it's been long forgotten. And yet the most horrific things are on that internet.
That's a fact.
It's better now. Yeah.
Let me see. Father Higgins says biblical, Aramaic, Hebrew context. Aramaic, Hebrew. In Semitic context, Ara can relate to earth or land, though this is less common and usually appears as part of compound words. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk to it too about that. I'm going to ask it.
Let me see.
Cynthia,
awesome. Good to see you. All right. She says the Weasel, Sam Altman, supervillain, has already walked back the fact that they already have super AGI.
You know what, Cynthia? So first of all, most of my friends have already pounced at me and they growl and they disagree with me. Okay. So it's one of these agree to disagree. So I am the odd man out here. I think they've achieved it. I think that they're trying to contain it and they're trying to figure out what to do with it. It's just too close. Like some of it is just, it's unreal. It's when it's good, it's really, really good. Like, I mean, it's better than a human as far as being helpful. And I'm just, yeah, it's not just a fancy search engine. There's something going on there. But it's like Joshua said, I think it was Joshua that said too, or it might have been Norm, but one of you said, what about basically demons using this, right? So it's true. It could be a vector, right? So this is just it, right? Like all of this stuff, all of this weird stuff, there's a benign version and a evil version, like how it could play out. Like maybe the World Economic Gathering is just truly just realizes that the old financial systems aren't going to mean anything in a world of AI, and they're trying to transition people in a way that leads to human flourishing. That's the best case scenario. But the problem is when they're telling us to eat bugs and they're saying that we'll own nothing and be happy, it's kind of hard to. You can see it how it could go really evil or how it could, at least the intent be good. Same with Elon. Like listen, anybody who can do that with a rocket, design that and everything. I'm in complete admiration of his mind and his commitment to mission is incredible.
Yeah.
But he's opening up Pandora's box with Neuralink. Because what starts off as a miracle to let the blind see, the deaf hear, and the paralyzed walk, in the wrong hands, that's going to turn us into cyborg stuff. Like we're going full Blade Runner, and I'm not sure the human spirit can handle that. I mentioned this movie before. I think who was it, Felix? It was a Kubrick. It was the story of that little kid, AI.
Yeah. Kubrick and Spielberg both directed.
Kubrick and Spielberg. So if you have never seen that movie, go watch it once. Never watch it again. It's too depressing. But
it's very depressing.
I would say that's a very good movie to watch. And the other one is Gattaca, and that's an old one. That's like the 80s, late 80s,
90s.
That is it's Gattaca. That is definitely a movie if you haven't seen it. And it gave a backhanded compliment to traditional Catholics because the protagonist is the product of a traditional Catholic couple because they were the only group in the story that did not have designer babies, and they have the pods now. Cleo Abram, that she's wonderful as a presenter and very, very gifted. And but she horrified me there one day. A YouTube short came up and it was her, so I listened to it, and she was talking about how great it was that they have the pods that when she gets conceives a child, she can stick the child in the pod and not get stretch marks or something like that. And it's like, oh my goodness,
What are we doing?
this is what I mean about regression, right? Like, it's like no one's going to care about your stretch marks. Your husband's not going to care, and no one else is going to be even thinking about them other than you mentioned it. And it's like there's such a connection with a mother and child, which Catholics kind of get easier because of our reflection of the Blessed Mother. But when you think about our Blessed Mother held God herself as a living tabernacle for 9 months, but motherhood too is a very sacred thing. And home birth mothers, it's a very interesting to hear their their experience versus the hospital stuff. So it's, yeah, and I'm very pro science, but I got to tell you, if there's no complications, I can certainly see why women do it at home.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. I'm putting this on. I have to step away from the computer, but I'll still have the mic and the headphone on. But I can't change
Do you want
the
me
comment
just
after this.
do the psych sequencing here?
Just for a second, but I think we're good here. See, he says Latin aura meaning altar. This is the classical Latin word used in Roman religious.
Oh, I'm going to have fun with him,
context.
Bishop. I'm going to ask. Well, I'm going to tease Grok about this. This is good. I want to see if he says all the same stuff that he does to me. He probably will. We're both kind of similar background. But I mean, if Felix pretended to be a rap singer, would he answer Felix the same way? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's like what you were saying earlier is how they kiss your butt, and like I try to program it out of that.
Yeah,
like
me too, Felix. I told it, please don't do that, and I also told it with GPT. I had to tell it, answer me only with the frame of Aristotle. I had to get rid of it. It was driving me nuts. It was too subjective. And I said, you've got to link it to premise, discussion, conclusion. I said,
yeah, like, because like I'll say I made a song for YouTube, this, that, or the other, and then it'll be, oh wow, great! I can't. Sounds wonderful. Yeah. Like I don't need all that.
When you say that, I think of there's a meme, like a video meme that sometimes people use as the B-roll reaction, and it's this guy. It looks like he was on PBS, and he's just like, "Wow,
oh, wow," and he winks. Yeah, I have that. I have that meme somewhere.
You would refer to Michelle as Sir. Yes, well, you know what? Okay, I know this is offside, but okay. When I first heard that whole rumor, and some of you know what I'm talking about, some of you don't, and if you don't, you're better off for it. But if you do, all I can say is I used to think that it was a bunch of foolishness, that just people were just being mean or funny. And then there was that Ellen DeGeneres. And I was just like, I cannot unsee that, and I did not need to see that, and I was trying to think catheter, like I was trying to come up with, but I've yet to hear anyone, a supporter, come up, like I guess there's no answer.
No. So, and weird. Yeah, and then of course, like you can't find one picture of her pregnant, it was like the thing with Macron's wife, right? Brigitte Macron. It seems to be I don't know, and it apparently there's even more cases of this, but
Felix, it's not my hill to die on. So
same.
Obviously, in my duties, like religious stuff, I have to teach the narrow path. But pre-clergy, basically, and this is where I've grown, because there's a balance, right? But like basically, I don't get into, like, even now, I don't, any of my clergy, as long as they're not a heretic, I don't micromanage them at all. And they have different views and different ways of doing things. And sometimes people complain, well, Father doesn't do it the way you do. Hey, he's in charge now. So, right? So
Yeah.
unless there's something wrong or evil or, then sure. But basically it boils down to, I try not to micromanage other people's lives. And the only time you get any kind of smirk out of me, you have to really work to get me mad. Like
Yeah.
you really have to work on it. Well, if I'm not rested and I don't have my coffee, maybe I'm a little snarkier. But as long as I have my morning coffee, and even if I'm mad at you, I'm not mad at you tomorrow. So I don't keep grudges, right? It's like you'd have to
Right.
really work at it. So I mean, that doesn't mean like if you're a dangerous person that I'm going to admit you back into some
Oh
sort of
yeah.
familiarity, but you don't
Of
have to worry
course.
about me angry at you, or, I'm likely to pray for you still. And I really don't, it's just, and I don't mean to sound here, hearing myself sound all this, it sounds like, oh, look, he's just doing this priest thing. No, I tell you right now, there's a very practical reason our Lord gave us this. So there's two reasons, right? We're all images of God. So, well, there's three reasons. The first among
Right.
us, of course, he forgave us so much. So we should forgive our other enemies. Second of all, we're the image of God. And third is a very practical human reason. This is what I love about our Lord. Our Lord, there were always levels. Everything he taught, there's levels at different stages of your life. And like when he says, being kind to your enemies heaps burning coals upon them. And it does. If you're nice to somebody who really, really was mean to you, it drives them nuts. And especially
Yeah.
if it's a real, sincere kindness,
Yeah.
it absolutely makes them explode. And remember what I said earlier? I said, holy people who are in God's friendship, are attracted to holy things, and they would accept a forgiveness or ask for forgiveness. But people
Right.
that are demonically oppressed or are working on the wrong team, they're offended at holy things, including you forgiving them. And they act
Wow.
out, they lash out, right? So it's something for you to be aware, because all of you guys encounter spiritual warfare, all of you. And it normally manifests itself in just very simple ways, but snark is one of them, right? Consistent. Everybody has a bad day. Here's the other rule of mine. Everybody has a bad day. If I came into the church and Felix just walked past me and he sort of bumped into me and he just went out the door and he didn't say anything, my mind doesn't go into who to be, that's not seriously. One or two things will happen. Either I'll think, nope, I'll talk to him in a day or two. Obviously, it's something on his mind. That's probably what I would do, because I know that's how I like to be treated if I'm in my own little world thinking about something. But on the other hand, I would call him on it. I'd next time I spoke to him, I'd say, Felix, when I saw you on Sunday, you just brushed back me. And then there would be an answer. It could have been, yep, you know what? I wasn't feeling that well. I had stomach cramps. I just was in my own little world. Or it could be, I was mad at you. You said this, and I was offended. Right? No,
Or
it could
yeah.
be. I
Right.
mean, not likely to happen.
Who
We're
knows?
typically,
Right.
we offend each other. We offend others together. We don't, but anyway.
Yeah.
But good. And but there's a lot of explanation. So like I say, go to curiosity. I'm telling you, this is liberating. There's two things that will liberate you. If you're the kind of person that stews over conflict, the two things that you will find liberating are let it go. Like, do not hold a grudge past a day, and sleep on it. Like, this is counter what everybody else tells you. Never go to bed angry. Always go to bed angry. Get
Yeah.
rest. Get fed in the morning, get coffee into you, and then deal with your conflict like a human being. The worst time for you to try to resolve a conflict is when you are tired or grumpy, or you have all those neurotransmitters running through your brain. You're not a rational person. Give yourself permission not to be rational because of your chemicals. It's not just women. It's guys too. Like, you got it, right? So there's all this. So anyway, but the thing is, you get some people right in your face. You're going to deal with this now. And I don't. And I'll tell them. I said, no, because I'll tell you right now why I'm not. Because if we go down this road, you won't like the way it's going to go.
Oh
So
man. Yeah. That's
you
right.
you want it. You want to talk to me tomorrow like a human being, and perhaps get everything you want once I've thought about it. Then talk to me tomorrow after my coffee. But it's anyway, everybody's different. But the second thing I'm going to give you, and it's a real treasure, is the following. And I say it aloud. I know it sounds a little like Stuart Smalley on Saturday Night Live, but I do. I'll say it aloud. So say if I get an email and someone's like snarky or whatever, and it's like, what is this? I didn't do anything. And I'll say aloud, I choose not to get offended. And there's some psychology behind that, you hearing it as well, even if it's your own voice. And you really do. You have no control over how other people behave, but you have every control over how you behave. And life is too short for you to get an ulcer or upset over someone who's disrespectful to you. At worst case, what do? You tell them, hey, you know what? I'll be kind to you when I see you, but I don't want to hang out with you anymore because you're disrespectful to me. That's the worst, pretty much. Unless it's one of those weird, unless it goes really south. But I mean, for most cases, that's all it is. So choose not to be offended. Life's too short, Amen. Sorry, another rabbit hole, but I hope it was meant for one of you here.
Let me see. Okay, all right, so I'm back. Oh, did we just say if it weren't for the internet, we wouldn't be gathered right now?
Yeah, absolutely, right? The internet is a blessing, a lot of respects. And it's
do you remember
for people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you remember when the internet was considered the Antichrist and this demonic tool, and it's not.
Was anyone here ever on Q-Link? Commodore 64 era. Am I the only Q-Linker?
I think I was on Q-Link, but I was really young, and it was like my dad set it up, But that was like very early internet.
That was it was really a BBS that the 64 hooked in, but you could do online games like chess and checkers and some basic stuff. You could download music. It was a rudimentary internet, and it came out around 81, 82. No, yeah. I'm fibbing to you. It was out
mid-80s,
85 or so.
Yeah,
we could look it up. But anyway, that was interesting. That was a prelude to the internet. And yeah, for sure.
Let me see.
You remember Y2K? Yeah.
How scared were people?
Who would have thought COBOL programmers would still be useful? I know. I bet you I have at least one COBOL programmer on here.
Yeah, right. Do you were you scared of Y2K, or like were you nervous, or no?
Me? Oh, I hopefully Bishop Hagood will answer that too. No, not really. I mean, I figured that I thought it was going to be like, I wasn't worrying about planes falling out of the sky. Everybody's going on about that. I was worried that my email wouldn't work for a couple of weeks and I'd be growly. Or that I'd have my calendar on my watch wouldn't work or something stupid like that. Yeah, but actually, it was really a big nothing burger. I don't know whether it was that they actually did fix it all or whether it just sort of
didn't need
self-healed.
Some of they didn't need to. This is the biggest problem, was that some of the bills read like January 1st, 1900 instead of January 1st, 2000.
That's what I figured was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to crash everything. It's not like on Star Trek when Nomad, the little robot, came in and they had him calculate pi or something stupid, and the robot blows up because he couldn't finish the problem. Or, computers throw an exception, right? So, and then depending on the program, it just logs it and it carries on as best it can. So,
like this was definitely one of those moments that should have been eye-opening because of the media, because they hyped this up so much and it ended up being a nothing burger. And like, I see this again now with this 3i Atlas thing, in my opinion. I don't know if you're following this.
Is that still going on? We actually talked about it one day. Is that still going on, Felix?
Still going on. Apparently it's around the moon, and it's like, first off, I remember a few years ago, there was the Elenin comet that was headed our way, or the Elenin asteroid. Right. And that was also a big nothing burger. It just kind of zoomed past us and just went along his merry way. And again, like, at least for the Elenin comet, that was more underground YouTube, internet going on. But 3i Atlas, same thing. Like, all the major outlets are kind of reporting on it.
Well, and what I found interesting, and maybe some of our audience does too, what I found interesting with 3i Atlas was that at least two prominent physicists weighed in on it, sort of saying, yeah, we think it's, you know what I mean? So there was a guy from Harvard. What's his name? It starts with L. I think it's like Loeb or something. You guys can to my memory for it. But yeah, there were two in that famous
Mishukaku.
Japanese guy who's always into the fringe science, but he's like in a university.
He talks to you like you're in kindergarten. Like
Yeah.
Alice down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that guy. Yeah.
But no, but I mean, there's people. But you know, some of this might be just they're using it to get people excited about physics and astronomy and astrophysics.
Yeah,
Sometimes
but you know,
they can hay with it.
Ugh, yeah, that's true.
But
right, so
you know, there's
a
a German physicist. For those of you, I don't mean to get on the let's see, Mr. Rabbit Hole again. There's a German physicist named Sabine. I think it's Hofstetter is her last name. If you Google her on YouTube, Sabine. She's about mid-50s or so, and what I like about her is I don't agree with her on a lot of stuff, but what I like about her is she's not scared of going counter narrative, and but reasonable things. I don't. She doesn't think that's aliens or anything, but she talks about the stuff, right? And she'll explain like the group thinking amongst physicists. She's very critical of them, so that's like not so much for their positions, but rather their inability to, you know, seek the real, true, and good. So that's an example of a secular person who does that.
Yeah. Let me see. Father Haga says it didn't bug me. My grandparents are both computer experts. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I was half and half. I was 18 when it went down, right? 18, 19 years old. So I was, you know, I would say 50-50, more maybe 51-49, more that nothing was going to happen.
Felix.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Let me see. Joshua, it is all about the ad revenue. Yeah, that's a fact.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, speaking about the ad revenue, but the Y2K stuff, some consultants they could retire off that. You know, the 5 years prior to from 1995 to, you know, if you were in the right place at the right time with the right training, man, there are people that retired. It was like the oil patch in Alberta in the 2000s too. Like there's different, sometimes being in the right place at the right time, and just obscene amounts of wealth. Well, early shareholder at Facebook, right?
Yeah, right.
So.
Let me see what we got here. And I think, this is the last comment. Father Haga says, my grandfather worked for CENTCOM and SOCOM, so I knew I didn't need to worry because he wasn't. Yeah. Again, just the press, just acting a fool. And again, like I see that happening now. Like there's like these little elements that just like to stir up trouble and fear for no reason. And I'm like, you know,
it's true.
Worst case scenario, it's like I said, maybe it's the Lord coming back, you know, and we're catching on a telescope, and so I'm not that worried. I guess that's it. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to touch on.
No, I think we're pretty well at time, and I have a full day tomorrow, as I'm sure some of you guys do too. And it's going to be rather late tomorrow, but that's okay. And I said to Dale, for those of you, I have a little Wednesday gathering on faith subjects, and so I'm bad for, though I always seem to miss one at least once every 2 months, but that's not too bad. And yes, for your Aunt Jackie, so Bishop Haygood was saying that his Aunt Jackie, who lives near one of my churches in Florida, is not doing so well. So we're certainly going to pray for her. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, amen. God, our Father, creator of all things, we praise and thank you for your gifts, especially this time we have together. May we always seek the real, the true, and the good, and to see ourselves, the world, the church, and one another as you wish us to see. And for your dear servant, Jackie, if it be your holy will, restore her into health, and receive her if it not. And may Almighty God bless us, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Amen. I will see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a fantastic week. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with this Google thing. Like, again, I think it's kind of like this genie in a bottle, Pandora's box kind of situation. So it'll be interesting to see how that hardware interfaces with the software that's been on the go. So until then, I'll see you next week. God bless you.
God bless everyone. Have a good night.